Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. here. So today we are finally installing the remaining pieces of the blackout kit. Now initially I wasn't going to bother with that, but then I decided, you know what, I have it, let's do it. So this video is going to be labeled as installing that kit, and we'll get to that in a second. I will put up a second video, the exact same content, in regards to how to debadge or remove decals off this. Down in the description, I will put links to all of the tools that I use to do it, and it's super simple, super inexpensive. And this, after 25 years removing decals and badges and chrome ugly pieces after they get nasty, this has been what's worked best for me. Now, I have in the past, I've tried everything that was out there. So before I found my own technique and found what worked for me, I tried the fishing loop, tied to bolts. I tried all kinds of stuff. Guys, I don't recommend using a heat gun on these paints. These paints are super weak compared to what they were 20 years ago. I would not use heat guns. I would not use any type of acid or abrasives. Again, I use basically two tools. And again, you'll see them when we get rolling. So for all of the Chevy guys specifically doing this kit will give you, there is right there the remainder of the pieces. So if it is VIN specific, it can say that, but that's just right there part of the exterior emblem package. So if you need any part numbers and whatnot, they're all kind of right there. Now that kit itself is going to replace only the chrome 25 or 3500 HD on the doors and the chrome Silverado and custom words on the tailgate. Now, if you do decide to remove these, this would be your opportunity to never replace them. There are people that say, well, should I keep the old emblems? You can, and if you're good at eBay, you can throw them up on there or whatnot, because people actually sometimes need to replace these, and they'll have to piece this set back together, and they'll have to put their own double-sided tape on. If you buy this kit specifically from GM, it will have double-sided tape. I will forewarn you, the longer the decals are on the vehicle, more than likely they could be a smidge more difficult. However, I've taken decals that have been on trucks for 15, 16 years off this exact same method. And what I have found is typically they remove more of the tape with it versus when they're new, more of the tape stays on the door. But again, it's going to take you, it took me about 15 minutes per door. But let's take a look at what it looks like. So that's what it looks like getting going. And we'll walk around here and take a look at the back end. All right, guys, so there's the custom. And there's a Silverado. Those are the only other two nameplates that are going to come with the doors. Do one side at a time. Reason being is that way you can remember what side is what, because you can flip the HDs around a little bit. Now, it is kind of crazy that Chevy will give us black here and then chrome around here, and then we change out these. That's why I was hesitant to even bother with it. But nonetheless, we are going to get going. So to start this process, and I'll show you what the finish side looks like real quick. And that's basically what it's going to look like when it's finished. I would also recommend washing the vehicle before you get going, removing decals. You'll find that it's going to be easier to apply tapes, less area to clean up. However, Big Red Kong was filthy, and it's just the way it is because I drive a ton of miles. Now, this kit will not replace the Z71. They sell these aftermarket. I've seen them, and then some of the watchers have said that. I can put a link to that in the from Zahn. They're not all that expensive to buy those, and you can get blacked out to one of these. However, I'm going to leave that because the truck itself is not naked from chrome. Now again, guys, this is where I'm going to start the video over. So when I post two videos, this video will be just like a general decal emblem removal for anybody else out there. I will cut out the original part where it talks about the Chevy, and I will put the exact same links in the bottom of the description here, guys. But if you're looking to how to do the black kit on a Chevy Silverado, guys, the link will be down below. Now, this remainder of this video is going to be for everybody. So guys, a few things I always keep in my garage. I haven't done the garage list. Somebody told me the other day, they're like, man, you got everything in your garage. Do a list of stuff that you think is important and things that aren't as important. Well, painter's tape, gotta have it. All right, I've done a lot of automotive painting. I used to run custom motorcycle paint. I used to do all kinds of that. This stuff is awesome. Now, people will compare it to frog tape. Again, guys, at that point, we're skinning potatoes. This is what works for me, so I use Scotch or 3M. Those are the two brands that I like. I typically have wider here, but today I only had this wide, but it works for these purposes. All right, so once you have this door clean, another thing that I will recommend having in your garage, guys, is a super cheap spray bottle. And people will say, well, what do you put in the spray bottle? I put a 1-to-1 alcohol and water. So isopropyl alcohol. Now what this will do is it'll take goo off. So it's cheaper than Goo Gone. It's cheaper than everything else. People say, well, I use acetone. Okay, acetone is not good for your paint. Neither is paint thinner. Now I have to say that because I've seen people do wonky things. So using that alcohol, it's going to take just a smidge more elbow grease, but it is not that bad. And what's cool is you can use this to wash windows, you can use it to clean grease off stuff, and it evaporates quickly. It's basically odorless once it dries, and it's also germ killing. So if that is important to you guys, and you can buy a huge bottle of isopropyl alcohol and mix it 1-to-1. So if you do 1-to-1, it's half a jug, half the spray bottle, then the other half is water, 1-to-1. Okay, you can dilute it however you want. You can even go straight if that's how you see fit. Another thing I keep in my garage, guys, and there will be a link to all of this stuff in the description of both videos. Plastic razor blades, guys, you gotta get them. These are like the best thing I've ever found in my entire life. You can use them and they won't jack your paint up, they won't scratch glass, and most of the kits, especially the one I'm gonna put a link in, I'm not endorsed by any of these people, but I'm gonna share the idea behind it. They'll give you these scrapers too. Fantastic. This, believe it or not, guys, is a cheap window tint kit. So I've done window tint before. That's a whole nother issue, but it comes with a lot of cool tools. And this one is my favorite for removing decals, emblems. It is super cheap and it won't damage anything. This is also a window tint one, so you can kind of just decide on the size of your actual badging to remove it. And I love this because you can reuse it 100 times. I think the whole kit was like $9 and it came with like 20 pieces. So fantastic. Link in the description. All right, so back to this. What this is right here, guys, once we clean it up, we're putting some of this painter's tape. Now what this is doing is two things. It is going to, one, give us our line where we're going to reline the decals back up of where the old ones were. If for some reason you pull off the tape, just try and replace it while we're cleaning this up. If you tear it, don't worry, it is 12 inches long, so you'll still be able to get a level out of it. If you have a laser level, guys, and you want to use that, more than welcome to do that, and that way you won't worry about it. However, the second purpose behind this is to protect the paint from this tool. Now, although this is a plastic tool, we all know these paint jobs are somewhat crap. I could take my fingernail and I could probably scratch the paint. Could I buff it out? Sure. But what we want to do is just protect it as much as we can. I had to put two border pieces here where the decals end, one on each end, so that way if one gets destroyed while we're pulling these pieces off, then we can still line it up. Again, guys, this is your opportunity that if you decide you want to move this down 3 inches, move it forward 2, no matter what vehicle you're on, if you're near a body line, make sure you open the door, make sure your emblems are not in a pinch point where this will crush this metal. So sometimes this is just where they put them. Sometimes they put them back for specific reasons, but it will be up to you if you are going to move them to make sure that it doesn't hit one of these crease lines or get in the way of an operation of a function like on the tailgate. All right. All right, guys, so now what we are going to do is we are going to take our little body tool and we're going to try and stay on the paint. Again, you can just see how it just slides right behind there. And what I like to do is I like to get it up and started like this. You can see that pushing behind there. Now, if you want while you're here, you can use another one to try and pry behind it and lift it up a little bit. But what I find is typically that is more than enough for me to get my fingers behind it. All right, and all I'm going to do is just kind of pull it away. Now again, some people say, well, I want to heat this up with a heat gun. Guys, the paint is not strong enough, and if you don't know your heat gun settings, if you just went and bought one, you're like, oh, it likes to get hot, well, it can actually destroy it. Now if you're super careful pulling this off, you can pull a lot of this crap with it. Now again, these aren't going to come off in a line like the kit's going back on. So if you want to keep them, feel free. I've kept them in the past. Sometimes you can just use them to decorate other things, but don't try and pick this off with your fingers quite yet. Just leave it behind, and I will show you another trick here in just a second. So again, we'll grab the tool here. We're going to come in. We're going to slide it right behind here. And again, if you just kind of scoop it, and even if you destroy this thing doing one job, the time and ease that is saving you is super simple. You don't need gloves. It won't hurt your hands. I'm used to wearing gloves all the time. So once you get started, set it aside again, and then just grab it and kind of peel it away. Now you can kind of see that some of these letters will leave more than others, but don't worry about it. set them aside. So guys, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the rest of this and we'll be right back. All right, so using that tool, it literally took me just a few minutes to get all that pulled. Now you can sit here and try and peel these off right here if you want. And if you do it slow, guys, and kind of pull it up at an angle, a lot of times it uses itself and pulls against it. Throw that stuff in the trash, set it aside because you don't want to be tracking it in your house. People just won't be happy that you're doing that because it is gooey. And you know, just from road grime and stuff, it can actually be pretty dang dirty. So in the event you get to the point where you're like, oh dang, it's not coming up anymore, that's where our plastic razor blade comes in. And literally guys, that entire set was like, I don't know, under $8. And I think it came with 1,000 or probably not 1,000, probably a couple hundred actually of those. And what you're gonna do is you can just sit here and you can actually, again, this will not damage your paint, okay? So instead of having to use a chemical, you can just use this and just kind of cut it away. And it just works so good because it's pulling up all that adhesive as it goes. And literally, you might think, oh, that's going to take me forever. Some people actually find that movement satisfying, peeling tape or, you know, picking scabs or whatever. I don't know. But nonetheless, you know, it gets you a little bit of satisfaction. And if for some reason you get close to it, these plastic razor blades typically won't pull that up. You can just push the tape back down. So, yeah, you'll just take this and just kind of keep working it. Again, it's to each your own. If you want to sit here and try and pull it off, go ahead before you try and use your razor blade. The end result will be the same. All of this goobery crap needs to come off. So let's take that off. I'll see you in a second. All right, guys, so we're back. So that took only probably another 3 minutes to remove the rest of the tape with the plastic razor blade. Again, this always protects it a little bit. It's always going to leave a little bit. Now, I will tell you guys, if you're going to use the fishing line type method where you kind of saw it off and everything like that, this adhesive, this double-sided tape comes off so much better when it's thick. And so it basically just kind of peels off the razor blade. But if you do try and like cut it off with something and then go back, it is a little bit more of a pickle trying to get off. All right, so again, what I'd like to do is I like to take my alcohol prep stuff and spray it on there. I let that soak for a few, then I'll go back here with the razor blade and just kind of clean it up the rest of the way. Then after that, what I will do is any type of light polish or wax, so like this Turtle Wax Restore, it's good for restoring like plastics and scratches and stuff, so it's not super abrasive, but what it does, it has just enough polishing stuff in there that'll help take that off. And then once we get done with this, we are going to then take the alcohol and remove any type of stuff that the polish could have left behind, and that way it will allow the new emblem to stick much better. All right, guys, so now that I got that next little layer of garbage off, and you might be thinking, Jeremy, this is a lot of steps. I'm telling you, it really is a handful of steps. It is super quick. Man, I've sat here for hours trying to remove an emblem, and I've had this, even with taping, less than a few minutes. So next thing you need to have in your garage, some cheap terry cloth wash rags. Now you can get these at your Walmart, like 2 dozen for like $3 or $4. I'll put some ones I've got off the Zahn on there, and then get yourself some good microfiber towels. Always though, remember which ones are your outside ones for the outside of the car and which ones are for the inside, especially if you're gonna be cleaning like radio faces and gauge faces with that. Don't mix that crap up. And especially if you're going to be picking up oil, if you get these type of rags and you're not putting oil on them, then you can wash them in your normal washer and dryer, as long as your significant other doesn't mind that. So I'm going to take the terry cloth and I'm going to take some alcohol. We're going to prep this off, and then I'm going to use that polishing compound. All right, guys, so this video is exactly 14 minutes long. That's with me walking you through the part numbers and everything. So if your end game is just to remove the decal, you're done from here. Pull off your tape and you're good to go. Now, over the years, if that emblem's been there for a while, it can have a leading like edge of grime and gook and whatnot on there. You'll want to take that off and then just polish around it and you're good to go. Because we are putting the remainder of the black emblems on, you can see where I kind of got right here. I'm just going to push that back. Good to go there. Now I did on the other side move the emblem about an inch more this way. Check clearances and everything again. And there's nothing to say, guys. You can't drop it down here. You can drop it down there. As long as you have clearance, whatnot, put that emblem wherever the heck you really want. And typically the emblem is like an embossed or raised piece of plastic, and a decal is just vinyl. So that vinyl typically will come right off, but for most purposes, people say emblem and decal one and the same. Another thing you need in your garage is a tape measure of some respect. I got dozens of these. Some of these are just presents, but I always have plenty of them sitting around. And then again, because you're only going to do one side at a time, you make sure that you get the right emblem for each side. Now, Chevy does it like this. The green is the outside. This is the inside. And this huge piece is what you need to try and line up on your actual pieces of tape. So you can kind of see how that is a pain in the butt. So, easy way to go around that, guys, is take your handy dandy tape measure. And what we're going to do is we're going to just measure from the top of that. I've already done the other side, so I know it's 2.5. And the easiest way is go here. So here's where the top of that one was. So you just need to measure 2.5 up. And if you don't feel super comfortable doing this, have somebody help you. But I'm pretty proficient at it, so you can see right there that's the line. Now, good thing is you can't really look at both sides at the same time. So if you're off 1/8 of an inch, it's not going to be a big deal. But if you're like me and you can see it from the side and it is crooked, meaning not level, then that will drive me nuts, and all of this will have been for nothing. So let's mark this off at 2.5 here. Now, you don't need a bunch of crazy marks on here, but what do they say in the construction business, or pretty much anything when you're building? Measure twice, cut once, right? So these kits are not cheap, so make sure you get it right. And you can go to the other side and check it too. So that's where we're going to have the bottom of the actual kit, where the top of this kit actually hang. So when we put it right here, you can see right here, I'm going to line it up with the tape on both sides, and then I'm going to tape it again. Obviously, I'm going to get this over some more because that's where I want the edge of the D to be, and we're going to call that good here in just a second. So let's get this taped up. All right, so that's literally all it's going to take. Again, and this is going to work on any vehicle, any badge kit, whatnot. So Chevy, Ford, whatnot. If you're just realigning everything so that way you can get it, this is how I would do it. That's how I'd remove stuff. So once you get here, I've already cleaned off the back of this with the alcohol. So we're going to pull off these remaining pieces of tape. We are not pulling anything off of this yet. So this has a piece of cover on the tape for those. We're going to leave those on there for now. Because what I'm going to do one more time is once I remove these pieces of tape, guys, I'm going to wipe it down one more time where this tape was, make sure there's no remaining adhesive, because you can just kind of see this tape's not supposed to leave a little bit of goo, but remember how I told you about all the old emblems would leave like a trailing edge of goo? That's what I'm talking about. So we're going to get this off and get it clean. I'll show you here in a second. All right, guys, so we are ready to pull this off. Again, I got it all cleaned up behind it, so we're ready to rock and roll. And then all we're going to do is tip this up carefully, and I'm going to pull this back. Now, when you pull this piece back, be very, very careful not to pull the letters out the other side. If for some reason this green is missing, put some tape on the front. This is what's going to hold these letters in for a second. I like to pull the covers down at like an angle, downward or upwards, so you're not pulling straight up and out. From here, all we're going to do is let this swing back around on our little tape hinges that we've made. And then from here, guys, just push it straight in. That's it. That's all you're doing with this. And then if you want, you can sit here and rub your hand across it. You can use a glove and just give a good, nice adhesion. Granted, this stuff is super sticky, so you're going to be good. And then once you get done, you can do that. Now again, all of these black kits are like piano black material. I don't know what material they make them out of, but I've seen some that scratch super easy, some that don't scratch hardly at all, and it's good to go. From here though, you can then grab this tape, pull it down at an angle again. And I think this kit's like 200 bucks. So you don't want to jack it up. You want to make sure that you have everything in order. So again, pull this tape off once you're done. And no matter if this is a Honda or a Chevy or whatnot, there's how you install them back on. So the removal of old emblems, and installation of new emblems will work. Again, this is going to be 2 separate videos, but the exact same content, guys, so people can find it no matter what they're searching for. But I think it looks pretty good. Let's take a little bit further back look. I mean, it does kind of dress it up. I'm still leaving the chrome ones. Some people say, why you bother? But then again, if you're doing the remainder of the Chevy kit, guys, that is going to be how you do the doors. Nothing will change for the tailgate at all. Now, these specific emblems, some of these have screws on the back. I did not install these. What I've seen in the past is this back one is double-sided tape and like 2 guide rods that are plastic on here. The front one, though, they actually scratched the grill. So this one is going to be held in by some type of retaining clip or like a light nut on the back. But you can see right here where they tried to pry it off when they put it. This is supposed to be a dealer installed option. They installed these 2, but the other remaining pieces of the kit were not in there, so they never installed it. So before you pry, come back to my channel and see if I've showed you how to remove the emblem. If not, and you have a little spotter mirror that I like to have, I'll show you one next time, guys. You can reach around here and find the clips, or you can just pop the hood, take the access panel off and check it. But this was already installed, but the lower part, or the actual emblems themselves, that is going to be for that. Guys, I do appreciate you being here. Smash the subscribe if you wouldn't mind also hitting the like button for me. I try and put out new content as fast as I can, as often as I can, especially if it's something that helps you. And again, guys, if you're new to the channel and you're on the removal of the emblems video itself, I have all kinds of other videos on how to change oil for certain models and makes. Most of that stuff is very similar. I also have great content on washing cars and everything like that. And in the description of most of those videos, if there is something in that video that you liked or could help, there is a link to that. You can click on it, you can go do your shopping. Again, I'm not sponsored by any of these people, but I just try and link it in there and you're good to go. Again, guys, I appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you on the next one.